But what we've just witnessed is the problem with this show.
And after review, it is clear the panel is much more diverse than what was portrayed by Kendrick Perkins.
At a time.
It's the fact.
At a time.
It's the fact. I'll let it sit there and marinate. You think about it.
I'm sure everyone that's watching this channel is aware of the network ESPN. I'm sure I don't even need to explain to you what it is. It's personally had a very profound impact on my own life because growing up as a kid, every morning I would watch SportsCenter as I was getting ready for school, and I would watch Jay Williams lead the Duke basketball team to greatness before getting heartbroken a couple years later when his career would end in a tragic motorcycle accident. He's still alive, but that ruined his NBA career. What I'm trying to say is it had a profound impact on my life, and it just seems like the product is just getting worse and worse and worse, and I think today there's been a brand new low on it. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. We're almost at 700,000 subscribers, which is crazy to me. And now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. So I've made almost $5,000 playing this game over the past couple months and posting my picks and selections onto my Instagram story for you guys to follow them. And the game that I'm obviously talking about is Prize Picks. Right now, when you use my promo code microphone, they'll match up to $100 of your initial deposit with another $100. And it's been a lot of fun. I mean, yesterday I had Killian Hayes getting less than 21 points, rebounds, and assists. You went into the third quarter with 18, and he finished the game with 20.5. I can't tell you how euphoric that feeling was when I saw that I was able to make $210 off of a pick that came within 0.5 of not hitting. So if you want to check out Prize Picks, make sure you use my promo code microphone for a free 100% deposit match up to $100. And follow me on Instagram if you want to follow my picks on Instagram. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? A few months ago, we made a video on ESPN and the issues that they've been having as a company, primarily with their talent at the analyst position. And there has been one constant that has been fairly successful in that position, and that's Stephen A. Smith. They have been bringing in new talent throughout the years to try to find Stephen A. nice little running mate, or just find people that will keep viewers engaged whenever they're talking basketball. And a very popular means of doing that is by bringing in former basketball players. And in some cases, it works out wonderfully, such as Redick. I personally love hearing the man talk. I don't always agree with him, but at least he tries to back up his information with statistical data, and I can get behind that. And instead of something like this, where you see Chris Mad Dog yelling at Stephen A. Smith for no reason whatsoever. Unfortunately, that's what First Take has become. What originally was a very highly engaging, intense, and entertaining debate show started turning a little strange. And it's not just with First Take, it's with a lot of ESPN-based shows. For example, earlier on this year, we discussed Malika Andrews' style of reporting. If you guys don't understand what her style is like, well, here's her covering the death of Adrian Payne.
Former Michigan State star Adrian Payne was shot and killed in Orlando, Florida, early Monday morning. He was waived by the Magic after he was named in a report by ESPN's Outside the Lines that he'd been involved in an alleged assault at Michigan State in 2010. No charges were filed in that case.
You could see how that isn't necessarily the best way to honor someone that just passed away. I mean, I personally feel a specific way if a human being just passed away. His last time in the NBA was in 2018. He passes away less than a year ago. And you're bringing up one of the relative low points of his life, which was an alleged assault case where the charges were dropped. It's like the most inappropriate thing to do, and it's part of this culture that I just cannot stand, where you try to go ahead and nitpick in each and everyone's past and try to find something bad that they've done at one point in their career, or something that they were accused of doing at one point in their career. Hell, we're covering the Michael Irvin situation on microphone right now, where this man, who is universally beloved by everyone, was caught on camera just greeting another Marriott employee staffer, and then the employee she accused him of misconduct. The Marriott isn't willing to even release the footage on Michael Irvin. As a result, he was not allowed to cover the Super Bowl just based off of these allegations alone. And it wasn't just this instance that bothered me. I mean, Malika Andrews got into it with Stephen A. Smith over the Ime Udoka situation a couple months ago.
Stephen A., with all due respect, this is not about pointing the finger. Stop. What became apparent to me in this press conference is that we do not have all of the information here, and it was frustrating to me that the Celtics declined to elaborate or to give more specifics about what exactly the rule breaking was that led us to this point.
That wasn't it. She actually kicked Kendrick Perkins off of the show for disagreeing with her point of view.
I think that we need to circle back to what Shanae said, is that there was an investigation that was conducted by an independent law firm here. And I think that transparency is what will rule the day here. And so without having all of the information, it is unfair and irresponsible of us to go and to speculate on that.
Which is something that I just can't stand either, because at a specific point, we were in a society where a person could disagree with another person and they could sit down and have a conversation with them and they can move on and accept the fact that they have a difference in opinion. Everyone's life experience is a little different than the other, and that's 100% okay. But it appears as though we've gotten to a place where if two people don't agree with each other on a debate show, then one person should kick the other person out. And I think the thing that just really drove me crazy, like the one thing that really angered me, was when Malika Andrews was covering the fact that the Boston Celtics are moving on from Ime Udoka as a result of what he was accused of doing, misconduct behind the scenes for the Boston Celtics, which, by the way, Nia Long came out and said, I wish this was kept under wraps and it wasn't made a public spectacle out of, so we could have solved it between ourselves, but that's a different conversation. Malika decided to discuss Joe Mazzulla and the fact that he got caught for underage drinking.
Be remiss not to also mention that Mazzulla was arrested twice at West Virginia, once in 2008 for underage drinking and aggravated assault. He pled guilty, paid a fine, and then again in 2009 for domestic battery after an incident at Morgantown Bar. The domestic battery case never went to trial. It was settled in August of 2009. He paid a $100 fine and court costs, plus had to do 40 hours of community service. Now, that was 13 years ago. He settled and paid both fines. So, Woj, why are the Celtics choosing him as their next head coach?
I thought this was the most inappropriate thing of all time. This man was unlucky enough to get arrested or get caught with underage alcohol. I mean, come on, bro. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of humans out there that may have tried alcohol before the age of 21. I'm not saying it's a good idea. It's terrible for your brain, terrible for your body, and I barely drink currently as a result of it, and I can't achieve my goals as a result of it. But bringing up this one incident that is very mild upon hiring Joe Mazzulla drove me insane. It was part of this culture that just drives me absolutely crazy, where humans are not allowed to make mistakes. We preach this a lot on this channel, where sometimes you have the opportunity to make a mistake and learn from it. Sometimes the mistake is so grave and so horrible and so dangerous that you don't get the opportunity to learn from it. For example, Henry Ruggs, he needs to accept the fact that he has blood on his hands for the rest of his life. He lost millions and millions of dollars, and he could see some time in prison as a result of it. Or the woman that was driving Jalen Carter when she had a 0.2 something blood alcohol concentration. She lost her life. She never got the opportunity to learn from her mistakes. So I don't really like the witch hunt for the people that are currently making mistakes and trying to dig into their past to find a mistake that they've made in order to try to fire them, or in order to try to make the public aware that this human being ended up drinking alcohol at the age of 17. With that being said, you might be wondering why I'm bringing this up. Well, this is one of the most eye-rolling situations that I think I have ever seen. A few days ago, ESPN First Take began to discuss the MVP conversation, and it's a crazy one because Nikola Jokic might be this year's NBA MVP. It would be his third season in a row becoming NBA MVP. I understand the logic behind him winning MVP, and I understand the people that might be sick of this man winning MVP for the third straight season because voter exhaustion was a very real thing. It's a huge reason why Derrick Rose won his MVP over LeBron James in one of his most dominant seasons for the Miami Heat. And I could understand any argument for any other player, any other team. Jokic is averaging a triple-double, and the Denver Nuggets are the runaway #1 seed in the Western Conference once again. And that's the very basic argument behind Jokic's status as a potential NBA MVP. Of course, there are other contenders this year aside from Jokic, but I don't think anyone has as good of a resume as Jokic does. I mean, there's obviously Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jason Tatum's getting there, Joel Embiid's in there, Luka Doncic is obviously there, and that's about it. So you can make an argument for a lot of these players, but there's one argument that you can't make because it would collectively drive everyone insane, and that's the argument that Kendrick Perkins made on First Take the other day. Take a look.
When it comes down to guys winning MVP since 1990, only 3 guys that won the MVP that wasn't top 10 in scoring: Steve Nash, Jokic, and Dirk Nowitzki. What do those guys have in common?
I hate this. There's nothing that I dislike more than this. The way every part about this take just drives me crazy from multiple levels. One, the implication, saying that there's been 2 MVPs in the past 15 years that have a certain attribute going about them. Which, bear in mind, yes, there are only 2 MVPs in the past 15 years that are white, which is what Kendrick Perkins is clearly trying to say here. You'll see why this is gonna drive me a little insane in just a sec, because he gets called out like crazy, and the way he goes about fighting back is just so annoying and such an eye roll that I don't even know what to say. Now, bear in mind, yes, it is a very convenient cutoff where I said 15 years, because after those 15 years is when Dirk Nowitzki wins NBA MVP and Steve Nash wins 2 NBA MVPs. So if you want to go all the way back 25 years to 1987, out of those 25 years, there's only been 5 players that are white that won NBA MVP. And to be honest, every time this occurred, there has been tremendous regular season success. I mean, the Steve Nash-led Phoenix Suns were a revolution in the game of basketball. He didn't lead the league in scoring, but in his first year, he had 15.5 points and 11 assists while running one of the most prolific offenses in NBA history. And in his second year, he also averaged 18.8 points and 10.5 assists while once again running the most prolific offense in NBA history. Nikola Jokic is currently averaging a triple-double again. And his triple-double isn't coming at the expense of his team's success like Russell Westbrook in some years, not his NBA MVP year, but in his latter years. And the fact that he was a second-round pick and has gotten himself to this point where he is winning games for his team without tremendous athleticism, with remarkable fundamentals and an understanding of basketball like we've never seen before, needs to be celebrated, not condemned, in my opinion. But personally, I have never been a human being that looked at a person who achieved something remarkable and said,
"That man got that achievement because of the color of his skin."
I think it's disrespectful to the human that got that achievement, and I think it's also very, very shallow of an argument to make. And the crazy part is JJ Redick let him have it. And pay attention to Stephen A. Smith's reaction throughout this entire exchange.
Because I think this show is extremely valuable. It is an honor to be on this desk every day. But what we've just witnessed is the problem with this show, where we create narratives that do not exist in reality.
I think that's a remarkable opening statement, but I want you to pay attention to how Kendrick Perkins reacts to this, because he legitimately acts like a petulant child when JJ Redick calls him out on his take.
You are implying that the white voters that vote on NBA are racist, that they favor white people. Yes, you did. That is exactly what you implied, Kendrick Perkins.
Bro, I give a lot of props for JJ Redick just going out there and calling out Kendrick Perkins on this. And I lost a lot of respect for Kendrick Perkins in this point. Sitting back there and saying,
I didn't say it, I didn't not say it, no, I didn't say it.
And trying to talk over JJ Redick is so pathetic. It is so low, especially for someone that's branding himself as a human being that gives real takes and is about real talk, trying to imply a specific thing, trying to get the audience to accept what he's trying to imply, and then also trying to say,
I didn't technically say that, I just implied it.
It's just so annoying and so low. But wait, JJ Redick has more.
That is exactly what you implied, Kendrick Perkins. That is exactly what you implied. Secondly, hold on.
I stated the facts, and you're not about to sit up.
We all know what you implied the other day. We all know what you implied.
It's the facts. It's the facts.
And then he closes it out by screaming, "It's the facts," a bunch of times. And it's really funny because JJ Redick opened his take by saying,
This is the problem with this show. We create some false narratives out there.
and when JJ Redick called out Kendrick Perkins, instead of Kendrick Perkins bringing out some data, except one statistic that he pulled out of his, he decided to scream, "No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
No, I didn't. It's the facts. It's the facts. It's the facts.
Can you imagine if that's how I made my YouTube videos, by the way? Can you imagine you clicking on this video and me saying, "Ja Morant's career is in jeopardy," or that would be the title of the video, and then me saying, "Ja Morant's career is going bad. That's the facts. That's the facts. That's it. That's the facts. That's the facts." You see the difference there? It's everything I can't stand about this type of culture whenever it comes to formulating takes. I mean, I'm all for people disagreeing with one another, no matter how sensitive the topic is, because I feel like that's how we can learn from each other. But it seems like ESPN didn't approve of this at all whatsoever, because ESPN would put out Molly Karam Rose to straight up denounce what Kendrick Perkins said. Watch.
Kendrick Perkins said 80% of NBA voters for the MVP award are white. And after review, it is clear the panel is much more diverse than what was portrayed by Kendrick Perkins.
At the end of the day, man, I just really can't stand when human beings do that, and I truly think Kendrick Perkins is horrible at his job. Look, I'm not necessarily watching Kendrick Perkins to be more informed on the NBA. I'm watching him because I think he's entertaining and he's a good compliment to a guy that understands how to analyze the game of basketball. But man, he is horrible at this job. I mean, truly horrible. And whenever it seems like he has nothing to say,
That's racist. That's racist. The fact that he won MVP the past 2 years.
despite the previous 13 MVPs not being white, is racist. I don't know. Maybe you guys don't agree with me. At the end of the day, I think racism's horrible. At the same time, I don't think the race card should be played when you have no better take to formulate. Let me know in the comments section down below what you guys think about all this. I apologize if I offended anyone. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.